stop whatever you are doing and listen closely. The fact that you have stumbled upon this audio at this exact second is far from a mere coincidence. A profound, energetic shift is already underway in your reality, and your presence here is a deliberate alignment. The vast majority of the population will experience the subtle ripples of this transformation, yet they will remain entirely blind to it. Why? It isn't because this phenomenon is invisible or purposely concealed from them. It is simply because they lack the sustained mental presence required to grasp it before it slips away into the background. Time is truly of the essence here. You are currently standing within a highly compressed, fleeting opportunity, a brief opening where the doors of your perception have been cracked just a fraction wider than their default state. The sensation is incredibly delicate. You might experience it as a bizarre glitch in the matrix of your everyday life, or a sudden, unexplained intuition that the atmosphere around you has fundamentally altered its frequency. But here is the critical truth that almost everyone fails to comprehend. This perceptual gateway is not permanent. It is incredibly fragile and collapses with alarming speed. The very second you allow yourself to sink back into your mundane daily habits, surrender to your usual digital distractions, or revert to your default loops of overthinking, that gateway slams shut. The extraordinary fades, and suddenly, everything masquerades as ordinary once again, tricking you into believing that absolutely nothing phenomenal just occurred. That is precisely how the masses miss out. They fail to treat the anomaly with the reverence and focus it demands. Before we dive any further into this revelation, I need you to anchor your intention. Go down into the comments right now and type the phrase, "I see it." Do not treat this as just another casual interaction. This is a deliberate, conscious declaration to yourself that you choose to remain hyper-aware while this gateway remains active. Furthermore, if these words are resonating deep within your core, hit the subscribe button immediately. The insights we are about to unpack are not the kind of concepts you can simply bookmark and revisit at your leisure. This is a real-time awakening. You either seize the clarity in the present moment, or you forfeit it entirely. Why does this opening vanish so rapidly? Because your biological and psychological systems are fundamentally wired to reject prolonged exposure to the unknown. Your brain constantly seeks stability and predictability. Whenever a truly unfamiliar frequency or sensation breaches your awareness, your mind immediately goes into overdrive, desperately attempting to categorize it, put a neat label on it, and force it into a familiar box. If your mind fails to instantly comprehend this higher state, it refuses to expand. Instead, it violently compresses that profound encounter right back into a mundane, easily digestible illusion. You need to understand that the phenomenon itself does not evaporate. You lose connection to it because your own subconscious effectively overrides the signal. Your brain rapidly fills in the blanks with comforting, safe, and established narratives to artificially restore your baseline reality. The instant that psychological replacement occurs, the spiritual static overtakes the pure signal. It is exactly like spotting a mysterious shadow dancing in your peripheral vision the very millisecond you turn your head to stare straight at it. The illusion dissolves. Crucially, the more frequently you dismiss these awakening moments, the quicker your mind shuts them down the next time around. Your internal programming learns that you lack the discipline to hold the frequency, so it preemptively blocks the experience before it can even fully manifest. Pay very close attention to what happens next. Immediately following these moments of expanded awareness, a counterforce inevitably kicks in. You will feel a gravitational drag pulling you relentlessly back toward your hypnotic, everyday state. The sinister part is that it will not feel forced. It will disguise itself as entirely natural. Out of nowhere, you will suddenly remember a trivial chore you forgot to finish. You will experience an overwhelming, magnetic compulsion to grab your phone and scroll. An artificial sense of urgency will attach itself to a completely irrelevant thought. Let me be unequivocally clear. That sudden distraction is not a random occurrence. It is a deeply ingrained defense mechanism. A structured pattern specifically designed to keep your consciousness safely tethered to a lower, manageable dimension. Why does your mind so desperately pull you away? because lingering within that expanded state of awareness for an extended period would permanently alter your vision of the world. The shift wouldn't necessarily happen through a sudden, dramatic explosion of enlightenment, but rather through a slow, irreversible lifting of the veil. It would be just enough to shatter the grand illusion that your reality is perfectly static and unchanging. This invisible barrier is exactly where the vast majority of humanity gets trapped. Their failure to evolve isn't born from a lack of inherent potential or capability. Instead, they fail because they simply refuse to anchor themselves in that precise, uncomfortable instant when the energetic tectonic plates are shifting. They briefly brush up against this higher frequency, get spooked, and immediately retreat. Consequently, their personal transformation never actually reaches its conclusion. It becomes caught in an agonizing, endless loop of restarting without ever breaking through to the other side. Pay close attention, because even as my words play right this second, your grip on this revelation is actively slipping. It isn't vanishing in some spectacular flash, but rather through the insidious, predictable methods your ego always utilizes. The exact millisecond your consciousness begins to grasp the profound magnitude of this awakening, a deeply conditioned part of your brain is already screaming at you to swipe away, to keep scrolling, to divert your attention to mundane chores. Your inner programming is desperately attempting to downgrade this spiritual catalyst into mere internet content, just another fleeting video to be passively digested and instantly erased from your memory. Here is the terrifying truth that slips past almost everyone. The forfeiture of this opportunity doesn't actually occur after the phenomenon fades away. The true loss transpires while you are still standing squarely inside the portal. It manifests at the precise second you experience that sudden, itching craving to abandon this heightened state of focus and sprint back to the comforting arms of the known. You must realize that this sudden impulse is not innocent, and it is definitely not neutral. It is a highly calibrated defense mechanism specifically designed to slam the perceptual gateway shut should you surrender to that whispering temptation. Even for a fraction of a second, your expanded reality will violently collapse inward, compressing back into your standard, limited worldview. Instantly, your environment will feel incredibly solid, logically explainable, and wonderfully cozy once more. However, make no mistake, this comfort is a lie. Things only feel normal again because you willingly stepped back into your mental cage, not because the mystical occurrence was a figment of your imagination. Therefore, the only temporal space that holds any true power is the present second. Not tomorrow, not 5 minutes from now when this audio concludes. Right now, the sole method to solidify this ethereal transition is by fiercely battling that robotic instinct to look away. You must force yourself to remain anchored in this very moment until the new frequency has fully locked in and stabilized within your field of awareness. The real danger of ignoring this call lies in its sheer subtlety. If you let this opening slip by, the sky won't fall and alarms won't sound. You won't suffer any glaring, immediate punishments for your apathy. You won't feel the heavy burden of a catastrophic mistake, simply because your conscious mind will be entirely oblivious to the monumental gift that just slipped right through your fingers. What plays out in reality is far more deceptive. Your daily existence seamlessly resets to its default factory settings. Your mundane routines reestablish their dominance, and your internal monologue returns to its predictable, boring loops. That lingering suspicion that the universe was morphing around you silently dissolves into the background. Yet, what remains hidden from your view is that the gateway of potential didn't cease to exist. It simply locked you out. When and if that cosmic doorway ever cracks open for you again, the energetic signature will be entirely different. These profound intersections of reality rely heavily on precise timing, the exact resonance of your internal state, and the rare convergence of countless variables that allowed you to perceive the anomaly today. This is the tragic reason you constantly hear individuals loudly claiming, "I can sense a massive shift coming in my life." Yet, their reality remains painfully stagnant, They are perpetually stuck because they consistently abort the process during the single most crucial phase, the actual moment the change is occurring. This specific crossroads is the ultimate trap. Their paralysis isn't caused by a failure to detect the rising vibrations. Their downfall stems from a complete lack of knowledge regarding what to do with the energy once it hits them. The sheer intensity of the transition makes the moment feel incredibly disoriented, ungrounded, and highly unstable, leading them to quickly brush the entire event off as a fluke. Destitute of a definitive roadmap to journey through the chaos, they instinctively retreat into the very same self-sabotaging patterns that blinded them initially. A massive, treacherous chasm exists between merely witnessing the awakening and genuinely comprehending it, and the majority of souls never build the bridge to cross it. They can physically feel the atmosphere mutating, but they possess absolutely zero tools to sustain that elevated consciousness. They have no idea how to firmly plant their feet in the shifting sands or how to march forward without running back to what feels safe. Without that crystal-clear guidance, their spiritual evolution is stuck on an infinite treadmill. This widespread cycle of unfulfilled potential is the exact reason I felt compelled to assemble the Quantum Transition Guide. I did not design this blueprint as some unrelated, external course for you to study later. It is meant to serve as a direct, seamless extension of the exact energetic frequency you are experiencing at this very moment. This comprehensive manual meticulously decodes the hidden mechanics behind your evolving perception. It maps out the exact psychological and spiritual phases you are currently navigating, offering you a concrete anchor in the storm. It teaches you how to sustain your presence within this volatile transitional space until the new frequency permanently solidifies, preventing you from being violently thrown back into the endless loop of restarting. If the phenomena we have discussed today resonate deeply with your recent life experiences, you will find the direct link to this vital resource waiting for you in the description below. Do not make the fatal mistake of viewing this guide as a supplementary tool to be saved for a rainy day. Recognize it as the definitive blueprint that translates the profound inner turmoil you are experiencing at this very second. Let me assure you, the profound sensations washing over you right now are the farthest thing from a random cosmic accident. This awakening is not a collective, synchronized event that strikes the entire global population at the exact same hour. Rather, these fleeting windows of lucidity only manifest when your personal, internal frequency crosses a very specific threshold of maturation. Your sensory receptors have finally become hypersensitive, allowing you to decipher intricate patterns and hidden architectures that have perpetually existed in your environment, yet remained completely invisible to your dormant conscious mind. This explains precisely why absorbing this information doesn't feel like you are memorizing foreign, novel concepts. Instead, it carries the eerie, comforting weight of profound remembrance. It feels as though you are finally recalling an ancient truth you have always known deep in your bones, but simply lack the stamina to hold on to long enough to fully decode. The fundamental variable that has changed is not the energetic shift itself, but rather your newly sharpened capacity to witness it. Once your conscious awareness breaches this critical altitude, the very fabric of your reality begins to weave itself differently. You will inevitably start to observe synchronicities with timing so impossibly flawless that they outright defy logical explanation. You will witness complex patterns echoing throughout your days in ways that annihilate the concept of mere coincidence. You will develop a visceral intuition that specific, fleeting moments are desperately screaming for your undivided attention before they dissolve back into the ether. This exact perceptual window is of monumental importance, not because the external, physical world is suddenly going to undergo a spontaneous, magical metamorphosis, but because your internal apparatus for perceiving the unseen currents of reality is fully illuminated right now. If you possess the courage to remain intensely present through the discomfort, those bizarre anomalies will cease to feel like random coincidences and will rapidly crystallize into absolute, undeniable clarity. Before you even think about clicking away from this audio, there is a vital, non-negotiable exercise you must complete. It requires less than 60 seconds of your time, yet this singular minute will dictate whether this profound awakening vaporizes into nothingness or permanently fuses with your waking consciousness. I urge you to pause, right this very second. Tune into the raw emotions coursing through your body. Bypass the endless chatter of your analytical mind. Ignore whatever intellectual opinions you might be forming about this content. Focus entirely on the visceral, underlying vibration humming beneath your skin. Locate that delicate, energetic shift, that faint tremor of structural instability, that undeniable gut feeling that the atmosphere has irrevocably altered, even if your logical brain cannot articulate why just yet. Now, whatever you do, absolutely do not run from it. Do not instinctively reach for an escape. Do not allow your mind to conjure up a digital distraction. Force yourself to simply exist within that quiet chaos for just a few heartbeats longer than your comfort zone normally permits. That agonizing microsecond of tension is exactly where you usually surrender, and it is the precise battleground where you must now hold your ground. Once you have accomplished this, scroll down to the comment section and immortalize your victory by typing 2 words: I stayed. Do not do this simply to boost engagement metrics. Do it as a tangible, written testament to yourself that you successfully defied your robotic programming today. It is concrete proof that you remained completely lucid during the test and consciously selected a higher path. Furthermore, if you have journeyed with me to this final point, secure your connection by subscribing to this channel immediately. The upcoming phases of this journey will no longer be about merely spotting the anomaly. They will be strictly focused on mastering the art of dwelling within that heightened frequency without constantly tumbling back into the dark abyss of your old habits. This monumental shift is not a future event you passively await. It is an active phenomenon you either seize with both hands or blindly sleepwalk past. Right now, you are standing inside one of the most exceptionally rare portals, where the veil is thin enough for you to actually witness the mechanics of the universe. It is visible to you not because the engine just turned on, but because your spiritual eyes are finally open wide enough to perceive the gears turning. Remember, this gateway will not remain ajar indefinitely. It won't vanish on its own accord. It will close simply because you habitually choose to walk away from it. Therefore, the ultimate question hanging in the balance is not whether this grand energetic shift is actually occurring. The only question that truly matters is this: do you have the sheer willpower to remain present long enough to manifest this illusion into your permanent reality? Let me know your answer in the comments below, and ensure you immediately explore the Quantum Transition Guide waiting for you.